Hello people YouTube, this is Track6606 and finally I am back with RealFlight, and for a whole new reason. It's that time of year again, and now we got a new simulator. RealFlight X has finally been released, or almost been released. It's been released for pre-order right now. So RealFlight X is now the new simulator, completely different than what we're expecting. I mean, of course, as far as we all know, I was expecting RealFlight 8. And I'm pretty sure every one of you guys were probably expecting the same thing. The RealFlight Quad Simulator, that was kind of unexpected. We were expecting RealFlight 8 there. They had a Quad Simulator. And now all of a sudden they do away with numbers. Now they're going to letters. So the whole purpose of RealFlight X, well, let's talk about that right now. So RealFlight X is completely different. Let me just say that. Okay, so when I first saw the email about RealFlight X, immediately, the first thing I thought of was, this is going to be a whole new generation of RealFlight here. This isn't going to be a similar as we know it, like an update pretty much as we know it. This looks like it's going to be a new generation, just by the picture of the P-51 Mustang that's in the front cover, and just, of course, the fact that there is a letter instead of a number now. So, my theory of the new generation is actually correct. So I've done a lot of research on this simulator, and this is why that my video's been late right now for posting. It's been pretty late right now because I wanted to bring you guys what is the whole purpose to this new simulator. I didn't want to just make a random, okay, we got an update here, this is the new features. I wanted to do a little more time to really explain to you guys what the new features are, because it's such a bigger simulator than we all expected would be, and they've literally changed everything as far as we know. RealFlight 7.5 is pretty much, it stops there. RealFlight X is nowhere near RealFlight 7.5. It is completely different, but in a good way, guys, in a good way. So I've done a lot of research, not only by what I can read on the main magazine websites, but I also contacted RealFlight themselves and just asked, what is RealFlight X? What is the new features that we were expecting in RealFlight 8? So what's the difference here? Instead of RealFlight 8, what's the difference with RealFlight X than what we were really expecting? Maybe better multiplayer combat, better challenges, maybe some online challenges, maybe maybe a little better physics, a little better graphics, new aircrafts, new airfields, like we usually experience with a new simulator. We expect for a new simulator. So what's the difference with this one? And well, I gathered a lot of information on you guys. Some of you guys are going to like, and some of you guys are not going to like as much. Well, first of all, I'm going to point out it is a new generation. I've said that already. There's also a new transmitter. So I'm going to talk about the transmitter before I get into every other detail. So the RealFlight X transmitter is an InterLink X controller. So instead of using a Vitava radio that they've used pretty much since the beginning, they've always used a Vitava radio, but I mean the same Vitava radio that they've used for RealFlight 7.5 as they used ever since, I think, RealFlight 5.5 or RealFlight 6 is when they came out that transmitter. It's one of those two, and they've been using it ever since. So this time they came out with a new radio, and it's actually Tactic. So it's not a Vitava anymore. It is a Tactic radio. So it's good. It's very similar. It's a cord transmitter, just like of course the Vitava one is. But this one is, obviously a little bit newer. So the switches and the dials are a little bit more customized for the way people would like it, especially for FPV, first-person view, aerial photography, stuff like that. For the quad stuff. For you guys that are in the planes and helicopters, don't really care about the quad stuff that much. It's still the same as the Vitava one. Now, however, one of the coolest features that I have heard about it is it's got, of course, it's got your classic reset button, your menu select, cancel, your up and down arrows. But what I've heard that this new transmitter is designed to do is to eliminate your mouse and keyboard. So you can actually access everything with this transmitter. You can access simulations, aircrafts, environment challenges, all that stuff that's usually on the top left screen. You can access all of that. That's what I was told by RealFlight, is that you can access everything with it. That seems really cool. The fact that you don't have to just put the radio down, go to your mouse and keyboard, and access it from there. So that is a really, really cool feature. That's about all the information I got on the transmitter. The looks of it looks really nice. I'd like to try it out, but unfortunately I'm not going to get that edition for RealFlight X. So that's about all I know for the radio. So I'm going to start getting into the other features, and then we'll start talking about the software. So for the first time ever, RealFlight has multiple packs. So they have your InterLink X controller edition, which comes with the software and the radio, the whole thing. Now they've got the wireless interface and the wired interface sold separately. You can buy those two devices separately now, as well as the InterLink X controller. You can buy all three of those devices completely separately from the software. You do not have to buy the simulator itself again if you wanted to try the wireless, wired, or the InterLink. So the wireless interface is a tactic interface that works for tactic radios. If you would like to use that with a JR Futaba Spectrum radio, you have to buy the tactic InterLink, which is about $30 or $40. Not that bad. I mean, overall it does add costs, but it is something that is compatible, and then you can be flying wirelessly. Something I actually do want to get. So yeah, so they actually have that sold separately as well. The wired interface. I actually use the wired interface for my Spectrum radios, my DX18, and now I got a DX9. Very good device. I like it. Works great. I can, that way I can fly with my real radio. They have that for sale separately as well, like I mentioned, the Interface X controller. And obviously, they have the software separately. So you don't have to get the X controller and the software. You can buy whatever you want now. I'll get to the prices in a second if you haven't looked them up already. I'll get to that probably close to the end. So, alright, I think I covered about that. So let's start talking about the features of RealFlight X. So first thing about RealFlight X is it's got a new engine. The simulator is running by a new graphics engine or physics engine, if you want to call it. It's the UNiGiNE 2, so it's the second UNiGiNE engine. I've heard some good things about the UNiGiNE engine, and so I'm actually, when I saw that in bold print across the screen there, I was pretty surprised. They actually stepped it up, not just by the new generation. They really stepped it up a lot more. I mean, it's a whole new gaming engine. And then I started having some other questions that I will get to a little bit later about as far as requirements, computer requirements. So yeah, they have a whole new engine to run the simulator, which is pretty fantastic. I forgot the other engine that was running the simulator, but they've been using that since the beginning. And now the fact that they changed it the first time ever since the beginning is it's a big leap. So that's one of the new features. One of the big features that stands out is that it is a new engine. So here we go. Now let's start getting to the complicated stuff. Let's start getting into their fun stuff. All right. So here's I'm going to read off the system requirements right now. So recommended. This is the minimum recommended system requirements that the simulator requires. So it will work off of Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. Will not work anything lower than that. Like the other simulators, I've had them work off of Windows XP. So Windows 7 is the minimum that this simulator will work on. At least a quad-core processor. I'm just going to read out the basics. Mid-range video card with 2 gigabytes of video memory. 30 gigabytes of hard drive space. Okay, so that's a big one right there. That's just it's a bombshell right there. 30 gigabytes of hard drive space. That is huge. I saw that and I was like, this got to be a misprint, because usually some of these simulators are like 10 gigabytes, so 30 gigabytes, 3 times of what the normal simulators required. That is massive. Make sure you've got a good hard drive in your system. 4 gigabytes of RAM. That's about basic. I think there were 2. So 4 gigabytes is that's your typical laptop, desktop minimum hard drive space, and of course DVD drive. So that's your minimum. This is what it requires. Like, this is optional system, but this is what they recommend. i7 processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, what? That's another thing I said. 32 gigabytes of RAM. Not even, I mean, gaming laptops are the only, or gaming, not laptops, gaming desktops are pretty much the only thing with 32 gigabytes, and that's a hardcore desktop. So that right there is probably a little overkill. I have 8 in my laptop, and that's quite a bit. So I'm gonna stick with that. But that's just the recommended requirements. It's not the minimum. So it can run on 4. It's just to get the best quality. 32 gigabytes of RAM is going to give you the best. Alright, so they may be big requirements, but don't freak out too much. So yeah, that's going to be the requirements there. So now I'm going to talk to you about a few more features that some people will like and some people will dislike. It kind of sucks right now, but it'll get better. So, okay, the new simulator is a whole redesign of RealFlight. It is completely changed. There is new airports, a few new aircrafts, new events, new challenges. They have some quad races, FPV quad races, where the gates will light up and everything, and you have to go fly through it. That seemed like a cool feature, and I was actually hoping that would happen like that, because I actually built an FPV quad track, and I started flying around with it, and I was thinking, if there would be a way you can actually make them light up and count your score, that would be awesome. So they have that feature, which is pretty cool. The graphics look amazing, crystal clear, whether it's a photo field or if it's a 3D field. 3D field, yeah. Now, some of the cool features that I really liked. If you haven't seen their video that came out yet, I highly recommend to watch that video after this. The whole graphics of it, the simulation, the sun simulation is amazing. The reflection of the aircraft is just amazing. So in the real world, when you're flying an aircraft that has a very reflective monocode or covering or whatever, you're going to see that sun just blind you because it's reflecting off of it. And that's what they simulated in this one. I mean, the sun will reflect everything. The sun glare off of the canopies and off the wings of the planes, or blades off the helicopter. That's all simulated. It is all real looking. It is so cool to see that. The reflection of the ground, reflecting off the wings and like that, it's just crystal clear. Some of the cool features about that is you can change your sun direction. So, you know, in RealFlight 1.5, you can change the position of the sun, sure, but you can't change it from dusk to dawn. And now you can do that. You can set your time, and you can have the sun in any position, whether it's rising or it's setting. And that is just one of the coolest features. So, like, if you're really flying in real life, and the sun's getting dark, you're going to have, in real life, you have that reflection of the sun, and you're also going to have the shadows from the sun. So the sun starts going down. If you have your plane kind of away from the sun, it starts getting to a silhouette figure. You're going to see a black. No matter what color you have, it's going to be black across the sky. And that, if you have it too far out, you're going to lose it. So now they have that feature in the simulator, which is just mind-blowing. How they had this in there. And I am so excited to see it. I cannot wait to see that. Also, another cool feature is they have night flying. That's not just regular night flying. I mean, they have night flying where you can have like spotlights, like do spotlight flying. Now, I do a lot of regular helicopters, fun flies, and they do night flight spotlight. For the night flight, they have spotlight flying, and I'll do that too. And it's a whole different feel. It's a whole different feel, guys. If you haven't done it yet, just do small stuff until you get used to it, because it is different. You are very limited in your space, and also the light reflecting on the helicopter or plane is just it's a different feel to it. Your depth perception is way different, and so it's like if you go too far out of the lights, you start losing the aircraft, and that's something they've had in this simulator too. Is they have the further the aircraft goes out from the lights, the darker it's going to get. So, and then as soon as if you go like right up to the lights, you'll see the reflection of the lights hit the air reflect off the aircraft, and that's right there is just amazing. That just seems so real. So I'm really excited. I think the night flying part of it is probably the most thrilling part that I'm excited for. I can't wait to see that, and probably more than anything of the simulator is the night flight. I'm really curious to see how accurate it really is to real night flying. Okay, so what else do we have here? Oh yeah, they told me that you can make it rain. That'd be cool. See if you can make it rain. That'd be fun. Okay, so there is, like I said, there's new fields. They're saying that there is about over 8 million acres of this Sierra Nevada site, one of their fields, that there's over 8 million acres of flying field where you just fly endlessly. Now, I don't know if that's going to be something like the 3D fields on RealFlight 7.5 or any other RealFlight where you have all the hills and trees simulated and you can just fly wherever. I'm not sure if it means by that or if it actually is going to be actual terrain that is, real terrain that you fly 8 million acres through. That would be really, really cool. So yeah, that's something that I'm curious on seeing. So those are probably some of the upsides. If I can think of any more, I'll definitely shout it out. But now I'm gonna start going to the downsides of RealFlight X. So to get that kind of technology and that kind of graphics and physics for this simulator, there is going to be a few setbacks. And one of them, well, here's one of them. There's a couple, but one of them is there is no online servers with RealFlight X yet. So right now, I don't want to say this is a beta because it really isn't a beta simulator. It is a real simulator. It's just they don't have all the features from RealFlight 7.5 over into RealFlight X. So unfortunately, we're going to have to make a few sacrifices if we want the simulator. So there is no online servers for the simulator at the moment, but they will be making it. They will be making it over time and then making it as an update. Get those real small updates for RealFlight 7, 7.5, whatever, any others. They'll make it as an update. Another feature that's going to be an update in the future is that there is no aircraft editor. They are still working on that and just producing that editor into RealFlight X. So at the moment there is no RealFlight editor, but it will become an add-on or a email, not email, but as an update later on down the road. It is disappointing to hear that those are the two biggest parts of the simulator that we all love and enjoy, and that's kind of sad that that's not eligible at the moment, but it's not permanent. As far as I know, it is not a permanent situation. Also, a few other downsides to it at the moment is any aircraft from RealFlight 7.5 all the way down to G3 on the swap pages, any extra aircraft on the swap pages, as well as your mega packs and expansion packs, will not work with RealFlight X. You cannot download it to the new simulator. It will work in RealFlight 7.5 and earlier, but it will not work for RealFlight X. because the aircrafts in RealFlight X have been specifically modified and enhanced to handle the graphics and physics of the new generation simulator, the old aircrafts you put in there just will not work at all. It is not reverse compatible. As far as like the wireless interface, wired interface, and the Futaba radio, the Futaba InterLink Elite controller, they are reverse compatible. But as far as any, exporting of the aircrafts or flying fields or anything else like that from older simulators is not reverse compatible with RealFlight X. So that hence the meaning of a new generation simulator. Basically, they started over. So basically, G3 to 7.5, you've got that range there. Now they closed the book on that, opened up a new book, and now they're starting fresh from there. So another few features about that. So that's kind of like the downside. So I wanted to mention about that, just so you guys know that this isn't going to be an update simulator. This is a new simulator. Now I do know I asked him specifically. I asked him, like, hey, my biggest question is, are the physics of the aircraft the same? Because if they've been changed, it's not going to be RealFlight. And they said that the physics of the aircraft, the way they fly, are the same. They did not modify that at all. They enhanced it a little bit, as they always do for every simulator. They're trying to make it feel more real, but other than that, they did not change the way they fly. The aircrafts fly the same. So I was worried about that, because I was thinking, I hope it doesn't have a Phoenix feel to it, because I have flown Phoenix simulators, and I will do comparison videos of those later on. But I do not like Phoenix all that much. RealFlight is the way it flies is the way I like it. It flies more realistic to me. So they kept the physics of the aircraft the same. So that's really good there. So also a few things I want to point out. If you guys have kind of a slower computer or older computer that just runs RealFlight 7.5, I can pretty much say that it will not run RealFlight X. RealFlight X, simply because it is such a more, it's a much more powerful simulator, it's going to require a lot more out of your computer. So to handle the real top of the line physics and graphics that the simulator offers, you've got to pretty much have a gaming laptop or a gaming desktop. My computer is basically the step under a gaming laptop, and it should run the simulator, but I'm definitely gonna say that it will not run the top of the line quality of the simulator. I'm definitely gonna have to turn my simulation settings down. And my computer has an i7 processor, quad core, terabyte of hard drive, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Those other things about it that I can't think of anymore right now. But anyway, it's got some pretty good features to it, but it will not be able to handle the simulator to its best quality. So I will be building a gaming computer slap down in the following year to able to run the best of the simulator. So for those who want the new simulator but want to run it on an older computer, or want a computer that doesn't really handle too much games but can handle RealFlight 7.5 just barely, this would not be the simulator for you. I would stick with RealFlight 7.5 or earlier. So RealFlight's G3 to 7.5 is pretty much, they closed the book, like I said, and that would be good for your basic simulator for starting off. If you're on a budget, you can't quite get a computer that powerful, then run RealFlight 7.5 or earlier, and you'll still do just as good. But if you have the computer and you want to see the best of the best quality, in the modern day simulators, then definitely go out and get RealFlight X. So that's about what I have to say for RealFlight X. Now I'm going to get on to the prices of the simulator. So despite the new simulator, and this is something I'm really impressed about, is they've always kept the simulator cost around the 160 to 180 range. Well, 160 is kind of low. I think it was around the 180, 190 range. It used to be over $200 back in like G5, but now they've kind of averaged around the 180 range, 180, 190 range. So the RealFlight X with the InterLink X controller, so this is the software and the new radio, is $179.99 off of TowerHobbies. The wire interface, since they sell these separately, the wired interface is now $39.99. The wireless interface is $29.99. The software, the InterLink X controller is $89.99. So you can buy just the radio, just the new radio, if you already buy the software later on and you want to try the radio. It's going to be $89.99 for just the radio. I will get that later on. I just pre-ordered the software because that's all I can afford at the moment, but I will get that controller later on because I can use my Futaba InterLink Elite controller. Alright, so the software, usually they've been costing around $49.99 lately. Unfortunately, it's $99.99 for the software. So definitely went up in price, but because of the quality of the simulator, how much they've improved it, I can see why they upped the price. But they kept the price the same for the InterLink controller edition with the software. So that's still the number one best choice to get if you're looking to get this, is get it the whole combo. Overall, I am very pleased with just making this simulator the way it is. The Knife Edge software is just, it's such a great company. RealFlight, they've done so much over the year. They've always given us something every year, and that's probably, to my guess, that's probably why they released the quad simulator last year. It's because they were working on this, and it just takes a little longer to literally start over. That's literally what they did, is they started over. So I'm really impressed by what they did and what they're offering for us. I'm excited for it, and I just can't wait to see the simulator come out. So that's about what I have. Oh, one more thing actually is, since you can't download aircrafts, they did also limit the aircrafts. You don't have all the aircrafts you had that came out with RealFlight 7.5. You don't have all the fields. I think the fields are all different, if I'm correct. They kept the most popular aircrafts in there, and then they'll be adding in the rest of them later down the road. So it's still starting off. So that's about what I have to say about this new simulator. Hope you guys enjoyed this introduction of RealFlight X. I'm looking forward to it. I pre-ordered mine off of TowerHobbies. So yeah, that's about what I have to say for this new simulator. I'm excited for it. I cannot wait. I hope my computer handles this simulator, but if it doesn't, I will find a computer that can handle it so I can bring you guys videos of this new simulator and what it has to offer. If you're not quite sure if you want to get RealFlight X because you're not too sure of how well the graphics are, despite the limited aircrafts, despite without online, despite no aircraft editor, if you guys are not quite sure how good it is and you're not quite sure if you want to get it, just wait until I post out some videos of it. Send me some questions of when I get it, what you guys want to see, and I'll definitely get on to that. This is expected to, the pre-orders are expected to be fulfilled by late October, so the end of this month. So hopefully in a couple more weeks we will have the first shipment of RealFlight X simulators coming out. And as soon as I get mine, I will make a video immediately when it comes out. So that's about it for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned with me for the unboxing and review of RealFlight X. Thank you guys. Have a great day.